All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for hopping on today to join us for a discussion on Social Security and your retirement. This is going to be brought to you by Financial Strategies Institute, which is a retirement planning service company that is operating out of Midvale, Utah, just over off of Fort Union Boulevard. My name is David Gates. I am one of the partners of the firm, also one of the planners. Look forward to sharing with you some great information today on Social Security. And we're grateful that you're able to hop on with us. As you know, we're trying to limit the size of groups we get together with and try to keep everybody safe from this ongoing spread of the coronavirus. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, if you will, in the comfort of your own home or wherever you're watching this today. First thing that we're going to look at is the firm here at Financial Strategies Institute. We are fiduciary planners. Again, a fiduciary, just to define the term, is a professional that does something in the best interest of their client. And so we are held to a legally higher standard to make sure that we're doing what is right for our clients. And today we're actually going to give you a special offer. By the end of today, we'll show you a couple things that we're going to give you for jumping on here today. But one of those things is going to be a free Social Security report. So this report is going to show you the best ways to claim your Social Security and give you some ideas and strategies behind claiming your benefits. Actually, I probably should, let me explain why I'm actually teaching this course today. As you saw, there's many tenured vets, if you will, in our firm. The reason why I'm actually teaching this course on Social Security is because I hold a designation and have gone through some extensive training on Social Security. This is the designation I hold in the firm. And so majority of the time I'm spending with clients is in regards to income planning, investment planning, as well as primarily how to claim Social Security. And so hopefully today I can teach you some basic information that is going to help you identify some good ways and strategies to claim your benefits. Before we jump into those strategies, however, let me kind of go through the process of our firm and the planning process that we take to make sure that our clients' retirement is going to be a comfortable one. First, we look at income planning. Then we look at investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy or estate planning. As you can guess, the majority of our time today is going to be spent in income planning, since Social Security is going to be the base income as we head into retirement for most folks. So understanding the value of Social Security is kind of where we're heading today, primarily to understand how this is going to affect your overall retirement and how it's going to work in conjunction with those other four areas of topics: investments, taxes, healthcare, and legacy. Okay, first things first, Social Security offering longevity, or in other words, portion of your income that you will not be able to outlive. Let me explain what this means is, once you start your benefit, your Social Security will be with you throughout your life. And so in this example, if your benefit was $2,000 today and you were to live 30 years longer, you're going to be pulling out of the Social Security trust, if you will, about $1.1 million, a little over that. Now, this is assuming cost of living adjustment, or what we call a COLA, of 2.6%. And how that works is, not every year, but on average, the trustees of the fund project about 2.6% cost of living adjustments to your Social Security benefit. So, for example, not every year is going to be 2.6%, but some years may be 3, some years may be 2, some years may be nothing, no increase. So you just got to be aware that It's not adjusted yearly, but on average, we estimate it to be about 2.6% cost of living adjustments. So if that were the case and $2,000 was your benefit today, and you were to live 30 more years, in 30 years, your cost of living adjustment would turn your $2,000 a month into $4,320 a month. And so that would be helping assist with it rising inflation rates and the cost of living. So here's the first question that we want to review today is, will Social Security be there for me? Now, a lot of you probably are concerned with where the Social Security system is with being able to pay out benefits for retirees. And some of you may not even care. But the bottom line is the risk or the fear of running out of Social Security money is a real concern. And here's kind of why it is. Every year, at the end of the year, the trustees release a trust statement that kind of goes over their balance sheet. So at the end of 2018, we had about $2.895 trillion in the Social Security system, or in the fund. In 2019, we had income from wages, taxes, taxable income of about $1.062 trillion going into Social Security. But we also had spent about $1.059 trillion, only leaving the fund increase with Social Security about $3 billion. And so last year it was more, it was about $22 billion. And so what's happening is, with about 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day, we're going to start seeing that figure, the net increase, decrease, and we already started seeing that every year until essentially we aren't able to completely fund the the beneficiaries, the retirees' retirement. And so this is kind of a graph that shows that by the year 2035, if nothing's been reformed in Social Security, and there's plenty of reform studies that are being done currently to solve this problem. So I don't anticipate it not happening. It's just, when will it happen? Well, I'm imagining that's going to be a political question. So for right now, though, by 2035, if nothing's been done to reform the system, only 80% of benefits are going to be available to retirees. Okay, so very important to know, to make sure that that's part of your retirement plan. If benefits fall to 80%, what is your plan? And so moving forward, my estimate, though, is, and many others, is it's unlikely to be really impacting baby boomers' retirements. It probably is going to have to do more with the generations to come, including my generation. By the time I retire, the benefit package is going to be probably half of what it is today. So moving to question 2. How much can I expect to receive in retirement? Well, this is based on a couple factors. First factor is going to be how much you earned over your working career. Okay, so what they look at is your highest 35 indexed working years. It's not the last 10. I hear a lot of confusion about being the last 10, last 3 years. You know, it's the highest 35 years of work history that you have. They're going to put into a formula that's going to kick out your benefit. Now, we won't go through that formula today, but that is how they come out with your benefit, is your highest 35 years of working, of earning. And so if you earn more, you're likely to get a higher benefit. If you're earning less, you're less likely to get a much higher benefit. But in general, that's how that works, is you have to have at least 30, you want to have around 35 years of working history to be able to even max out your benefit. And the second thing that we look at is the age at which you apply for your benefits. So we'll get to that here in a second, but you can claim anywhere from age 62 to 70, and when you claim that is going to determine how much is paid out to you on a monthly basis. And so we'll get to that here in a second. some things to understand, and two acronyms to really keep in mind are going to be your full retirement age, FRA, and we'll get to the next acronym here in a second, but it's primary insurance amount, or PIA, P-I-A. So these two are very important to keep in mind. Your full retirement age is determined when you were born. And so if you look at this chart here, you'll see that if you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is going to be 66. If you were born 1960 or later, it's 67. But the years between, you're going to add a couple months on. So take a look at that and get in your mind kind of when your full retirement age is, because it used to be where people could just go in at age 65 and claim their Social Security and their Medicare, and they were good to go. It's no longer like that because, of course, we have to have some reforms to Social Security to keep it solvent. And so this is one of the things that the Social Security trustees of the fund are actually studying to see if we can push out the longevity of the fund even longer by increasing these dates as well for generations behind the baby boomers. So that being said, get in mind what your full retirement age is, because this is how it's gonna affect you. So if your full retirement age was 66 and you go to claim Social Security at 62, you're gonna get what's known as a reduced benefit. And it's going to be all the way down to about 75% of what you could have received at your full retirement age. So you can see that age 66, we were getting 100%. Age 62, we're only getting 75% if your full retirement age is age 66. So these are prorated monthly, not yearly. So if you were 62 and a half, it's going to be more like 77% or 78% even. And so these are prorated monthly. And it looks a little worse if your full retirement age is age 67. You can see that you're only going to get about 70% of your promised benefit. So keep in mind that the earlier you claim, the less you're going to get. Now, when you claim, that is it. You have locked in right at that point. So you're never going to get the full amount of benefit that you could have received had you waited until 60 or your full retirement age, whether that's 66 or 67 or somewhere in between. Now, on the flip side, claiming later, you're going to get what's called a delayed credit. Now, every year you wait, you're going to get about an 8% delayed credit. Now, we work with investments as well, and I don't know any investment that guarantees you a guaranteed 8% increase per year, especially when it's it lasts you for life. And so this is a great thing for retirees if you can afford it, especially if you have two spouses and one spouse has a really low benefit and the other has a higher benefit. It may be a good thing for that higher benefit to gain some more traction with these delayed credits, because if one spouse dies, one of those checks are going to go away, which we'll get to a conversation about here in a second. But the idea is having delayed credits and a delayed benefit here with 132% of what you may have received at your full retirement age, 124%. If you're age 67 as your full retirement age is a huge benefit. Now, again, these are prorated monthly. They're not on an annual basis. So annually, you'll get about an 8% delayed credit added on to your benefit every year. Moving on from there, and this is also kind of important actually, is you don't want to wait past 70, because if you wait beyond 70, your delayed credits stop. And so you want to make sure that you're claiming your benefit no later than age 70. Well, really no later than age 70 and a half. So keep that in mind. But going to the spousal benefit, and if this was a class, I'd ask the question, how many ways do you think there are to actually claim Social Security? And I'd get a couple of answers, but the amount is actually substantial. It's over 500 different ways you can claim Social Security. And so a lot of that has to do with spousal benefits and how you use those strategies with spousal benefits. And so this is one example of how spousal benefit works, but this is having to do with the primary worker and not the private. So you have the primary worker or the primary earner. Now, this doesn't mean that you're necessarily bringing in all the money. It means who's paid the most into Social Security, because they're going to be considered the primary worker. So in this case, John is considered the primary worker because he's getting the higher benefit. He paid more into Social Security. Now, this could have easily been flipped and switched to John or Jane being the primary earner or primary worker, where Jane could have had $2,000. So this is definitely not gender biased, but we're using John in this case as the primary earner. Now, his benefit, PIA, now keep in mind, I'm going to go back a couple slides. Your PIA is the amount you will receive, the 100% amount that you will receive at your full retirement age. Okay, so remember, those are the two acronyms. Full retirement age, FRA, and PIA, primary insurance amount. They go hand in hand. They're one in the same sentence, if you will. So coming back here, at full retirement age, John's PIA is $2,000 and Jane's PIA is $800. Now, if Jane applies at her full retirement age, her benefit's going to be $1,000. Well, why is that? Well, it's because she gets 1/2 of John's primary, who is the primary worker. She's going to get 1/2 of John's primary insurance amount, his PIA. Okay, it's $2,000. So it's really good to understand this. Now, this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but we could spend hours here and going through different scenarios because, again, there's over 500 different ways to claim your benefit. And a lot of it has to do with the strategies behind spousal claiming. So keep that in mind. The rules here, well, we'll get to the rules here a little later, but the divorced spouse benefits are very similar to your regular spousal benefits. There are some rules where you have to have been married for at least 10 years to your ex-spouse in order to claim an ex-spousal benefit. Now, that ex-spousal benefit is going to be the same thing like I was showing in that previous slide, which is you'll be able to receive 1/2 of your ex-spouse's benefit, okay? Now, you have to currently be unmarried in order to do that, and you have to have your ex-spouse has to be at least age 62 for you to claim that benefit. Now, if the divorce happened more than 2 years ago, sorry about that. We got to switch back to our PowerPoint here. So you have to, you can claim your ex-spousal benefit if the divorce happened more than 2 years ago. Yep. So if it happened more than 2 years ago, you can actually claim that ex-spousal benefit. So let's go back here and kind of explain how that works. So if your ex-spouse is 65 but hasn't claimed a benefit, but you are divorced 2 years ago, you can actually still claim that ex-spousal benefit as long as you are not currently married and your marriage lasted more than 10 years. So again, this is a very popular topic in our country because more than half of our country has been divorced at one point or another. I should say those who have been married. So survivor benefits. Now, this is a very important part of retirement planning because if you have Joe and Joe, well, we'll use this example. Joe and Julie both married and both are over full retirement age. When Joe's benefits $2,000 and Julie's benefits $1,200, if Joe dies, that $2,000 goes to Julie, but Julie's $1,200 falls off. And now the household, the money that was coming into the house, which was $3,200 if you add those two benefits up, was $3,200 a month, now turns into only $2,000 a month. And so Julie is going to have to provide for all of the expenses that her household has only on $2,000 if that's all the income they had coming to them, rather than the $3,200 she was used to being able to use while Joe was still living. And so it's very important to understand how survivor benefits work. You don't keep both checks. You lose the lower check, but you keep and retain the higher check. So no matter who dies, the higher check will stay with the household, but the smaller check will drop off. Okay, very important in understanding how this works when you're planning for survivor planning in your retirement plans. So very important to understand. Actually, let me make mention here. If you have an ex-spouse and your ex-spouse passes away, you can also claim a benefit off of your ex-spouse. Or in other words, you can get a survivor benefit off of your ex-spouse and claim their benefit. The full benefit from your ex-spouse, as long as you're not currently remarried prior to age 60. After age 60, you can actually be remarried and claim a survivor benefit of your ex-spouse. So some kind of interesting rules there, how that works, but that's kind of the gist of how survivor benefits work. All right, question number 3, when should I apply for benefits? Well, this is going to be this can't be a broad statement, general statement for anybody because everybody's situation is different. So we look at 5 different areas of your life before recommending when to claim Social Security. First thing is your health status. Are you healthy? Are you going to live long? Your life expectancy, the need for income, whether you plan to work, and then your survivor's needs. So all these things kind of go into determining when is the best time to claim your benefit. And we'll kind of go over that here as we look at these things. But the first thing we want to look at is whether or not you still plan to work. Well, if you plan to work and you've claimed your benefit prior to your full retirement age, if you look at this second line here, this $18,240 in 2020, if you plan to make that money and more, for every $2 that you earn over that amount, Social Security is going to withhold $1 in benefit from your Social Security benefits. Now, it's not going to be a penalty. It's just a withholding. So they're not going to, it'll be paid back after you turn a certain age, full retirement age to be precise, over a period of time. But in this case, they will withhold for every $2 over that figure, $1 in benefit. Now, in the year you turn full retirement age, in just that year, just leading up to your full retirement age period, the figure goes from $18,240 to $48,600. If you make $48,600 leading up to your full retirement age in 2020, if it was 2020 and your full retirement age was this year and you were claiming, then every $3 that you earn in in income over that $48,600 they're going to withhold $1 in benefit. So this can get a little complicated when you go to claim your benefits, because if you don't know how much to account for, you may expect this number up here, but really only get this number down here because of this withholding, this annual earnings test. After full retirement age, you can make as much money as you want and it won't affect Social Security income. Okay, so keep that in mind. Once you hit full retirement age, you can earn as much as you want and still claim Social Security and not have any reductions or withholdings. So don't let it discourage you, because it's more money, more income is more income. Just in this case, you want to make sure that you understand how that relationship works with claiming Social Security. Question number 4 is, how can I maximize my benefits? Well, we kind of talked about how to maximize your benefits earlier. That is, delay until age 70. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're optimizing, okay? So optimizing versus maximizing, and that's kind of the important part. For example, if you were going to wait and maximize or max out your Social Security benefit at age 70, but your health was really poor and you're likely to pass away in your 70s, maybe mid 70s, was it a good thing that you waited until 70 to claim your benefit, or could you have made more money had you claimed at age 62? And that's kind of the idea. Most likely you would have made more claiming at 62. So the things that we want to consider is your income needs, both now and in the future, your life expectancy, and your spouse's life expectancy. These all play into how and when the optimal time to claim your benefit will be. The way that we look at this as planners is we actually run these reports. If you can see here, this is kind of small, but we run about this particular report ran 17,288 scenarios to come up with our top 5 strategies here for claiming this particular couple's benefits. Now you can see, and it's kind of small, but you can see the difference between their max benefit and their 5th benefit option down here is about $105,000 difference in benefits over time. And so this is a very key report that we want to give to you for free for you for joining us today on this webinar. And so very key information for our clients as well as people out in the community to understand how the best ways to claim their Social Security is gonna be. Now, to consider these things in the context of their overall planning in their portfolio in retirement, to understand the relationship between pensions, IRAs, 401ks, your required minimum distributions now at age 72 rather than 70, your overall investment portfolio, and whether you plan to work, to consider all 5 of these areas in conjunction with your Social Security benefits is very key to making sure that you're not getting, you're not sabotaging, if you will, your own retirement. Some people don't realize the impact that Social Security claiming has when you tie it into these other 5 areas of your financial world until they do it. And at that point, it could be too late. And I'm going to go over some examples here in a second, but these all have to be taken in consideration prior to claiming your benefits, because they could change things drastically from what we would recommend as fiduciary planners. For example, taxes, okay? Let's hypothetically say you waited until 70 to claim your benefit. But at the same time, your RMDs, required minimum distributions, are being forced out. So all of a sudden you have this major taxable event, because not only is your RMDs or your qualified funds taxable as an income stream, but your Social Security benefit is also taxable. Now, I'm going to go over this very quickly, but because this isn't a tax course, we do another tax course, and you're welcome to join us on one of those tax courses as well. But today, we're going to focus on Social Security and how it's taxed. So Social Security income is taxed based on provisional income. And you can see down here we have a definition of provisional income. So it's your adjusted gross income plus the 1/2 of your Social Security benefit and any tax-exempt interest. Okay, so you have this provisional income. If those figures fall within 32,000 to 44,000 and you're married filing joint, up to 50% of your Social Security benefit is taxable, okay? If it's over $44,000 in provisional income, up to 85% of your benefit is taxable. Now, don't be too alarmed when I say 80%, 85% taxable. Doesn't mean that your benefit is taxed 85%. It means that up to 85% of your benefit is taxable at your normal tax rate. So if you fall within the 22% tax bracket, your Social Security benefit is going to get taxed at around 22%. Or I should say 85% of your benefit is taxed up to 22%. So really important on how to understand how Social Security is taxed and how that's going to affect your overall retirement. And again, this isn't a tax course, but we do go over a tax course here, and we call taxes one of your biggest risks in retirement. We call it the torpedo to a nest egg if not carefully managed. So that being said, moving forward, you got to make sure that your taxes and understanding taxes and how it operates with Social Security and your other income sources are managed properly. All right. So let's talk about layers of income, because again, Social Security is going to provide a layer of income. So your first layer may be at retirement, and you may not actually claim Social Security yet. So you're going to have personal assets to take care of your income needs when you retire. And let's say that you start Social Security a little later. So you have what we call income gaps. Your first gap is covering your income with your personal assets between retirement and Social Security, claiming Social Security. Your next gap is going to be the gap that is not filled from Social Security when you start claiming. And so you can see that here there's two gaps that we want to make sure that we address with personal assets. Now, making sure you fill those gaps with the appropriate assets at the appropriate time so as not to get overtaxed and cannibalize your own account or sabotage your own retirement is very important, because these are easily messed up, especially in the environment we are in today with the crazy stock market. So understanding how this works is very key to making sure that your longevity and health of your retirement is healthy along the way. So let's get into what's known as the cycle of returns risk, okay? So just to kind of piggyback off of that demonstration with layers of income, this is how a lot of people fill the gap, if you will, with their current portfolios. So we'll use this example from Mr. and Mrs. Jones. They have $1 million nest egg, and they're withdrawing about 5% off of that per year. Now we're going to assume some things. We're going to assume a 3.5% inflation, and we're also going to assume an average account return of about 6% per year. Now, if that were the case and these figures panned out, that account would last the Mr. and Mrs. Jones 30 years. So they could take income off of that for 30 years and fill their income gap. But as you're probably aware, that averages are just averages. They're just that. They're not necessarily telling you the full story. And what that means is we want to look and see what the accounts actually did over that 30-year period of averaging 6% and understanding the relationship it has with withdrawing 5% per year. Okay, so if we go over here and we look at that cycle of return, or the sequence of return of 6% on average, this is demonstrating what we just talked about. That $1 million at 5% withdrawal rate, 6% per year, is going to last 30 years. That's pretty clear here. However, what happens when you go to retire 2 months ago and all of a sudden we have an economic crisis and we drop in the marketplace, and that $1 million now turns into $800,000, right? Well, we're going to come back. We always come back. The market always recovers. And it may even average 6%, but the 6% average now only lasted the Mr. and Mrs. Jones 24 years. And I'm going to show you some real math here in a second to prove this. But the idea is when you fill the gap with social, on top of Social Security with your other portfolio assets, and you do it in a market such as this, and you start early in retirement right now, for example, all of a sudden your assets are at risk of what we're calling the sequence or cycle of returns risk. Because on the flip side, if you were to retire in 2013 and we had a nice bull run, the accounts may have still averaged over that period of time 6%. However, the 6% average lasted the Mr. and Mrs. Jones 37 years. So the difference between 24 and 37 is a 13-year timing gap. Now, I highly doubt that many of you go into retirement or think you're going to go into retirement with the idea that, hey, I could have to go back to work in 24 years, or I could have to go back to work in 37 years, right? You just don't think I'm going to go back to work. Well, in this scenario, if you retired 2 months ago, you may be at risk of having to go back to work in 24 years. And that is not really part of your plan. So making sure that you have an answer, a solution for the cycle or sequence of returns risk, which is, again, filling that gap above Social Security, because Social Security is just one part of our income, right? You have pensions, you have your other investment portfolios, you have working. So you have to understand how that works in relation to your income stream. We have solutions for that to help with that. Social Security definitely helps with that because it's not influenced by the market. However, your other assets could be and may be at risk of this exact problem. So when let's look at kind of the numbers here, and just to reiterate what I'm talking about. When you're growing your assets prior to retirement, okay, you have retirement as your goal, and you're 41 and you just stick your money in the market and you let it grow. We've got two portfolios to prove this point. We have portfolio A and we have portfolio B, $100,000 going into the market each. Now, if you look here, these figures in portfolio A, the returns, the sequence of returns, are actually the same sequence of returns that portfolio B has, just reversed. So you can see 29% here and 29% here. You can also see a negative 12% there and a negative 12% there. So on average, each portfolio did 8%, okay? So we grew from $100,000 to $684,848 over that 24-year period. Okay, so no big difference. In fact, there's no difference at all here. It didn't matter what sequence or what order of the returns we had in each portfolio. It was, as long as it averaged, or as long as it did the same average at the end of this term, 8% and 8%, the accounts grew to the same value. Now, on the flip side, once we start retiring and start withdrawing income off of these accounts, we're using the same A and B portfolio with that $684,000 at the end of our previous slide there, and they're going to withdraw 5% per year off of those two portfolios. By doing so and having portfolio A, the returns are the same as what we were looking at in the previous slide, and again, just reverse from each other. But you can see here the early returns, or the early negative downturn in the market, caused this portfolio to run out of money at age 81. On the other end, though, the portfolio B, because it had a positive increase early on and the negative declines happened later, you can see that this portfolio grew to $2.6 million over that 24-year period. Big difference, a big difference, okay? Running out of money 10 years earlier and having 2.6 in the other account with the same average returns over a period of time, that's a big difference. And so, again, understanding the sequence of returns risk in relationship to your claiming Social Security is key to making sure that your longevity of your retirement is intact and in a more secure position. So again, our philosophy, if you recall in the beginning, we're fiduciary planners. We look at everything together and the relationship that they have together. If you don't, you could be missing gaps in your retirement plans that may leave you vulnerable to any types of risk. And we can discuss those risks until we're blue in the face. So our philosophy is simply this: be holistic, be comprehensive in your approach to your retirement. You want to look at things like income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, estate planning. All of those things come into play when you go into retirement. And Social Security is just one little aspect of one section of all of those planning. So again, going over that: income, investment, tax, healthcare, and legacy or estate. So we'd love to help you with this. We do want to offer you, again, our report here. This report is going to be a big game changer for anybody who receives it for their retirement. It could mean thousands of dollars, the difference between thousands of dollars in your retirement. And so please contact us. We'd love to be able to help you, and we'd love to give you this free report. And I hope you took away some important information today. I hope you got some good information out of this. We just appreciate you sharing this time with us, and we hope that you all are staying safe and healthy, and keeping yourself socially distanced at this time. And we sure pray for the country at this point, and hope all of you again are staying safe, and all of your loved ones as well. So thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to meeting you in person. And take a moment to go to our website. It's www.fsiplanners.com, and you'll be able to see some of the things that we specialize in there as well. Thanks so much. You guys have a great day.